Hello again.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Lovely, lovely.
Okay. And how has the COVID situation been in your area?
Not good.
Okay.
Not good at
Okay.
all. I mean, it's we're still under clampdown in a weird sort of a way. Yeah. Are we live?
Okay. Yes, we are live. I'll just check. Yeah, they are joining in as well. Okay. Mhm. And how has the convert from on stage to live stage been for
Well, I
you?
haven't done much on the live stage,
Mhm.
much work because it's whatever little I've done, it's a transition. I think it's a phase where we need to transit and get accustomed to this new sort of reality, which seems like it's going to be a very permanent sort of a thing. But what's
Mhm.
amazingly different is because Indian classical music is so interactive, and especially my music is so interactive that it's so
Yes.
dependent on audience feedback that
Yes.
performing in front of a camera is just it's just a weird experience. I think we all have to learn from it.
Yes. Totally. Okay, so they are joining. Should we begin? They'll keep on joining with the time.
Sounds good.
Okay, okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to another episode of Sadhana. Today we have with us Mr. Hidayat Khan. Thank you so much, sir, for accepting my invitation for this and being a part of Sadhana. It really meant a lot.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to be on, and I'm so glad all are doing um, these things to promote arts and inviting people like myself. So thank you for having me on.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll give a brief introduction about just in case if anyone lives under a rock here. So Hidayat Hussain Khan is the son and disciple of Ustad Bilal Khan Sahib. He performs extensively in India and USA and is currently based in Princeton, New Jersey. He has collaborated with a wide range of Western musicians and it's a pleasure once again to have him for that. So, sir, you are the son and the disciple of one of the forefathers of Siddharth. So, how did it all begin back then?
I am getting up on age, so it's a little ancient history. um, it began like any other musician family child. You know, it begins before we are born. It's in our blood, it's in our gene, and this is not just my story. This is a story of anyone who's coming from a lineage such as mine. That music starts before we are born. My mother was encouraged to learn how to play the sitar uh, when she was pregnant with me, so that's how ingrained sort of it is in us. I can't remember. I honestly cannot remember a day where music wasn't there. I mean, my earliest memories that I have were involving music, and so that's such an integral part. You know, I tell this story all the time, but there's a sitar that we have in our house, which is baby sitar,
Okay.
which is one of the oldest instruments that we have, and it's about
Mhm.
this big. And when a child is about 3 years old, they grow out of it. So that just goes to show how early on it starts, and it's not just. And that sitar has been around in our house forever. I mean, my father's played on it, my cousins, my brother, everyone. I mean, it's been passed around like a toy. So it really
Mhm.
begins early.
Okay. So, did you decide back then only that you would continue on this?
Oh, I didn't have a choice.
Okay, that's true.
It's not a choice.
Yes,
I mean, it is what you do.
totally. Okay. So you had him as your guru, a father, and your ustad. So now, when you remember him, what are the instances which you remember from your childhood?
You know, Abba was such an amazing and a grand person that his memories are I mean, there's so many things he had to offer. So
Mm-hmm.
many things that he has taught me beyond music. And so it's not a moment. It's whether we are going out, whether we are sitting with friends, whether we're eating food. His personality, his aura is always around. So I cannot think of a moment that I have spent with him not there in my heart or in my mind.
Okay. Okay, so tell me about some of your performance memories with him, which are very special till date.
Oh, so many again. I mean, uh, performing with him on stage was a task that I don't know how I did that. I mean, now where I've reached in my life, I mean, I don't know if I could do it again because it was such a task. I mean, the musicianship. I was talking to Pandit Mukherjee about a week back, and
Mm-hmm.
we're doing a session in memory of Abba next weekend because it's his
Okay.
birthday on the 13th.
Yeah.
And I was asking him that, can you, I'd like to have a conversation with you. I'd like, not a conversation, I'd like to hear your views. And
Mm-hmm.
he said something that was so profound. He said, I have a dilemma. He said, he's the sun and I'm a candle. So how can a candle talk about the sun? So if he's a candle, what am I? You know, so it was so profound, and it was so. So I mean, musical memories of him and what he has contributed to the world of music is
Mm-hmm.
just something that is beyond, absolutely beyond imagination. I mean, and if you can't imagine something, what are you going to do? I mean, if you can't even imagine it, you know.
Okay, so words cannot describe that.
At least I don't have the words to describe that.
Okay. No, but still, are there any old stories which you performed with him which you'd like to share?
Sure.
Any
I mean,
particular story? Mm-hmm.
um, so so I remember there was a concert in Stuttgart, which and this is a regular occurrence that used to happen. Zakir Bhai was on tabla. There's a recording of that also. And Abba had come from India, I had come from the US, and we met up over there. And he would never discuss what he's going to play and what is it, composition or rag or this or that. But typically, I mean, I would assume that he would play something that I would know since I'm with him on stage. And he decided on the morning of the concert that he's going to play Mandherav. And I had not learned Mandherav. I had no idea what Mandherav was, and he made a composition. He taught me a composition. In the morning, he taught me a little bit of Mandherav, and in the auditorium, he taught me a composition, and we went on stage. And it was a very difficult sort of composition, and I was, and in any case, I mean, I was on pins and needles to begin with. And here, not only do I have Abba on stage, but I even have Zakir Bhai, Ustad Zakir Husain on stage. So what, I mean, you can imagine my state, you know.
The
And
pressure.
so I'm sort of following his lead, and I'm playing, and then picks up the composition, and he plays this beautiful piece, and I was able to grasp it, and I played something complementing or something inspired by that. And he was very
Mm-hmm.
happy about that. So he upped the game again. So I did it
Mm-hmm.
once. It doesn't mean I can do it again, you know. And he looked at me, and he said, "Now it's your turn." So Zakir Bhai saw my face, and he realized that I am in absolutely no man's land. So from behind the tabla, he was like, behind the bayan, he was like showing me teen, so yahan se teen se utho or five se utho, you know. So things like that, and so he was a person where he did not compromise in his music, regardless of who was with him. He never presented. He always said that you know what, music is something that is not like a royal lineage where the king dies and the son becomes the king. It's
Right.
and gharanas are not continued by bloodline only. Gharanas are continued and through the capacity of an artist. So he said, you have to make your own space in this world. You have to, and I'm not going to help you do that. What I will help you with is training and all of that. But when it comes down to figuring out who you are and your space, it's all up to you.
Right, right. Totally. So, Hidachi, I remember reading somewhere that you had stopped playing sitar for quite a while and were living in Mumbai. So, why was that?
Well, you know, so as you asked me first, like, was that a choice? Obviously, music wasn't a choice. I mean, it was something that was just a given. I mean, I had to do it. And early years, I did not realize what I was doing. It was just normal life. And through it all, um, not so much from the family and my father, but through the world, I felt tremendous amount of pressure, uh, and the realization of the lineage that I come from and everything really made me not want to do music. I mean, want to run away from this because it's just too much pressure. It's just ridiculous. So Abba basically said, like, fine. I mean, you have now the foundation, you have the building blocks are done, and my job is done now. If you don't want to do music, I cannot force you because a musician should come from within. So it was my way of running away from this world and sort of connecting with the world that where I could just go out, have fun, and not be Ustad Vilayat Khan's son and just be myself and run away from everything that was this. And so I did that, and he allowed me to do that. And I had fun. I did whatever I needed to do, and that time that I was left alone gave me the realization that no, this is something beautiful, and this is something that I really want to do. But to be very
Right.
honest with you, that is not the only time that I have felt like that. I have gone through my phases of because you know music is a very hard thing to do, and any kind of performing art when you're putting yourself out there. Nobody, not Michael Jackson, not Ustad Bilal Khan Sahab, nobody has the formula of what is acceptable and what is going to be liked by this thing. I mean, what you need to have is so much faith in yourself and to put yourself out there and with conviction and especially nowadays, it is so easy for anyone to sit behind a computer and criticize anyone, criticize their work. And the amount of criticism that performing artists go through in a day, most people probably don't go through in a lifetime. And so I've gone through phases, I've battled with that, and I still battle with that. I mean, through this whole COVID thing, I was completely turned off music because there was no outlet. And various reasons. I mean, sometimes you go through ups and downs of your lives and how it affects you. And music is something that needs to come from within. And when you don't feel that, you need to listen to your soul. I mean, it's like, you know, sometimes your body wants a certain kind of food. Like you just want to have ice cream. I mean, and then you need to listen to your body. You need to eat that ice cream, you know. So it's kind of like that. So I've gone through phases of that, and I think I will continue to go through phases of that where I would want to take some time off for myself, and when I do get into music, I want to do music which really appeals to my heart.
Right. So, while in Mumbai, तब कैसे realize हुआ था as I have to get up now, I have to get back now? What caused the realization?
So it was I was having I mean I was completely cut from the world of Indian classical music. I was just having fun. I was partying with my friends. doing everything but music. And it was right after New Year, and then you know how that whole December, January time is. There's nights out every night, and I did that. And one evening we had plans to go out and with friends and the usual stuff. And I was really tired. I'd woken up very late in the afternoon, and I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like it, and I sat at the place where we were staying in the apartment, and I put on a recording of a buzz. There was Mia Kitori in the evening, which was not the time for it, but it was that. And I was looking out the window, and there was nobody else in the house, and it was a sunset time, so I guess it sort of corresponded to that. And while I was listening to this, and I was looking at the beach, and I was kind of hypnotized by, I mean, I remember this like yesterday. I was hypnotized by the whole the beauty of the sunset and everything. And this recording was playing at the back, and as that was going down, it was pitch dark in the apartment, and I just loved that moment, and the kind of peace and love and strength and energy and everything that I wanted, I got from that. And that kind of gave me a realization that yes, this is my calling, and this is what I want to do. And so that was the first spark. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And how did Ustadji react to it after that?
After that, reality kicked in again. Riaz time kicked in. Bleeding fingers. Loads and loads of hours of dedication, practice, learning, all of that kicked in, and pleasure, pain, all kinds of the entire journey started again. But that convinced me that yes, this is what I want. This is what I want to do.
Okay. Okay, so Road Talks is writing here. Hello, Hidayat. So nice to see you.
Hey, so nice to see you too.
Okay. Okay, so Hidayat, you have done a
My
wide
celebrity
range of.
friend. I can see
Oh,
the comments. I didn't even realize that.
yeah. And TP333 is writing at that time. How old are you, sir?
Early 20s.
Early.
I was early
Okay.
20s. Yeah.
Okay. So that she has done a lot of fusion work as well. How do you feel Ustadji would have reacted watching that now?
Oh, he would have hated it. He didn't approve of it. I mean, he had very strong principles, and he had his ideas, so interestingly, so he never did any kind of fusing or collaboration sort of work outside of the Indian spectrum. But what he
Yes,
did
yes.
was he did a lot of collaborative work within the Indian spectrum. I mean, like he introduced the Gaiki Young, which was unheard of. What he did with the sitar and what he did with the music was collaboration, obviously. But he
Mm-hmm.
didn't believe in collaborating with the West. But
Mm-hmm.
he did make us not puppets. He made us individuals. And
Okay.
as individuals, he let us create our own paths. So we had disagreements. Abba and I had loads of disagreements. I mean, we would have serious fights, and I'd gotten kicked out of the house on multiple occasions. So so we had like a it's very difficult to have an ustad, a disciple, and a father and son relationship all jumbled into one. It gets very complicated. And as a father and son, we conflicted a lot. As an ustad and student, there is no place for conflict. I mean, you do what the ustad says. So he would have not appreciated. He never appreciated the work, but I do understand that was his thoughts, that was his journey, and this is mine. So I have to do what comes naturally to me.
Right. Totally. Okay, so when you were in your regular training days, how was your schedule like when you were a teenager?
Grueling. I mean, at that time it seemed normal, but it was grueling because we had to do schooling, we had friends, we had
Mhm.
extracurricular activities, and then we had music. And music wasn't
Okay.
hobby, right? It was music for hours together. So it's very, very grueling. It's very tough, but uh, again, and every musician kid who wants to become a musician goes through that, and so I did. I
Mhm.
mean, it's difficult. It was difficult. It was. I'm never going to say it's easy, but
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this question was very much in demand. How would you describe the concept of Gaiki Ang to a person who knows nothing about Indian classical music?
It's a little difficult because whenever you water down something for someone who has no idea what you're talking about, it's a very watered
Right.
down version. So you can't
Mhm.
really explain the depth of the concept, but to I'll try. I mean, so in
Yes.
every culture, the epitome of the music is vocal music, and the instruments are made to either accompany or mimic that. So what Gaikiang is taking, literally Gaikiang means Gaiki is vocal, Ang is style. So literally taking what the voice does into an instrument. So parallelly, what has happened is these instruments developed an instrumental style, which is other
Mhm.
than vocal style, because there is only so much capacity an instrument has, and especially an instrument like sitar, how it didn't have the capacity to mimic the voice, to um, to have that sort of to be able to deliver what the voice wanted to. So so this whole Gaikian was developed. So essentially, what you're doing is you're thinking as a vocalist, and you're planning your phrases in your head as a vocalist. Lyrics come into a very important place. So how I mean, a little off topic, but how it's interesting is that when you watch a movie, the audience, when an audience is watching a movie, they're given the script, which is the story, right? Then each scene, if it's a romantic scene, it's set up in a certain place, it's certain environment, and if it's a action scene, that happens. There's background score, there's dialogues, there's visuals happening. So there's very little left to imagination, right? And then when it comes to theater, there's a little bit more audience that comes into play. The audience imagination comes in. When it comes to dance, there is visuals, and so with that. When it comes to vocal, now you're imagining with the lyrics, you're imagining the visuals. So the audience has a bigger part to play. When it comes to instrumental music, all we are doing is connecting with the audience with um, notes. We're not giving them a story. We're not sitting in acting. We're not doing any of that. So we all we're doing is just giving them this melody, and we're trying to make them realize what their imagination, what we're imagining, or what the lyrics are. So when we're playing instrumental music in Gaiki, the lyrics and all of that come into play very strongly. So I don't know if I was able to explain or be articulate about it, but essentially that's the basics of a Gaiki Young. So next time the audience that has not been exposed to this music, they go to listen to an instrumental music, especially if it's a Gaiki Young musician, and they're listening. I, I want them to have a visual along with it. You know, imagine whatever their visual is. So go on that visual journey from the beginning of the concert, whatever it may be. Go from that visual journey to the end. So imagine it like a movie, and then and it opens up a whole nother sort of way of listening. And it's almost like if you are deaf or if you're blind, so other senses kick in,
Right.
and you experience life through other senses. So it's almost like that.
Okay. Okay, so I see Titu 343 writing here. I once heard that Ustad Bilal Khan Saab introduced dance and Akar on sitar. Can you please explain it?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Are you able to read the question?
I
Just
must have
quite.
missed it. You know what? I'm going to try and scroll down. Okay. Once I heard that Ustad Bilal Khan Saab can produce Tanz and Akar on the sitar, can you explain it? Whoa, loaded question. Um, no, I can't explain it. I mean, it's there needs to be demonstration. There needs to be. It's hard to do justice to it. I mean, yeah, I can give you a story and say just blah 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 blah. But to be able to really give do justice to that question, within the time that we have in the format that we're doing, it's very difficult. So I'm going to pass that. Sorry, sorry, Titu.
Okay, yeah, he's writing. I mean, how is this possible?
Titu, it's possible when Ustad Bilal Khan Sahab picks up the sitar. Everything is possible.
Totally. Okay. So, Hidayatji, I've heard this misconception among many people, rather a confusion, that they cannot differentiate between a sitar and a surbahar. And the ones who are not involved in classical music, they can't even see any differences keeping the instruments side by side. So, could you explain the differences of both?
यार क्यों समझना चाह रहे हो इतना? You know, तुम when you eat खाना, right? Why do you want to know
Right.
कि इसमें जीरा कितना डाला है, लाल मिर्च डाली है या हरी मिर्च डाली है? Why? Sometimes it's just okay to just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. If it, just let yourself go. Just enjoy it. See how it connects with you, and with too much. Sometimes, see, music for me and musicians sometimes becomes we lose the pleasure because we get so much into the technicality of it and understanding of it, and oh, why was the gandhar used in such a way, or why did he tune his instrument that way, or why did he sing this lyric in certain ways, sometimes you just have to just let go of everything and just be like chill, and whatever is happening, let it affect you. So don't worry about it. When you get to the next level,
Mm-hmm.
you will automatically see Surbahar is the difference between a violin, cello, and a bass. It's the sitar. Surbahar is like a bass, deeper instrument. Just on a basic level, it has a very slightly different tone, um, which I'm sure. I mean, if I take a stick and I bang on a metal surface or I bang on a different surface, the tonality difference that you hear, it's just like that. I mean, on a very basic level. But on a deeper level, when you get to sort of know that, then there is a difference of approach, because an instrument also has its own personality, like all of us. The kind of music that you're supposed to do on it, and so that comes later, and a lot of these questions get answered automatically. So that sort of a thing.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, sir, in your initial performances, like there must have been a lot of pressure that you're the son of Ustad Ji. I have to perform extremely well. Cold stares if I do any slightest mistake as well. So, how did you deal with it back then, and how do you deal with it now?
So initially, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know the grasp of it, the seriousness of it. So it was just simple. I got up and I did what I had to do. Uh,
Okay.
Somewhere, so my personal story. I'm sure this is very different for everyone, but my personal story is that being Ustad Bilal Khan Saab's son, it was not just him, but I was surrounded by geniuses of his sort, of that stature. And so whenever I heard music, it was of that level. So more than anyone else, when I would play, because that music is what's going in my head. So when I would play music, I would never measure up to my own standards. So forget what the audience is going to criticize or not criticize, but the moment I'd hold my sitar and play the first stroke and I would not feel that, so I would not measure up to my own standards. And if I don't measure up to my own standards, how am I going to connect with anyone else? So for the longest time, I had that, and I had that very difficult burden that I put on myself and carry
Mm-hmm.
forward. I think about as late as 3, 4, 5 years ago, I just had actually there was a book that was written on my father, The Sixth Strain, and I got to read the manuscript, and that really helped me sort of see how Abba started his journey and his struggles and all of that, and that
Mm-hmm.
sort of made me feel like, you know what, this is my journey. And if I can't enjoy what I am doing, then I can never connect with the audience. So I stopped, completely stopped playing for anyone else but for myself. So today, when I get onto the stage, this is not, again, this is a live performing art. So it's not just about perfection. The few flaws make the beauty also. It's like a Mona Lisa that we're trying to create. So whatever happens on stage, it's at that moment, it's that connection, and sometimes what comes into your heart, you do that, and it doesn't. You know, sometimes we speak without really thinking, and we have a desire, but we're not able to convey that properly. So that happens on stage, and when that happens, that's the magic of it. That's the magic of it. So to all the music students, or maybe all students, I mean, if you're a musician, you're a student. So to all the music students out there, I have to say that you have to, this is not something that gives you job security. This is not something that gives you, it gives you a lot of pain. It gives you criticism, and you're throwing yourself out there. So do it for nothing else but for yourself, and enjoy what you do, and you will find an audience, a small or a large audience, that will connect with you at some point. And when that connection happens, that'll be beautiful. But do it for yourself. So get rid of the pressures. Doesn't matter where you come from.
Right. Okay. Okay. So, in your work with the Western musicians, the instruments which they play is very different from that of a sitar or the Itawa Kharana in general. So, how was the work process like to blend these together to form a complete production?
So it's a meeting of minds, and it's a meeting of hearts. If that happens, regardless of what anyone any instrument or where you come from, it's just a human connection. Sometimes you meet people that you make a connection with, and you fall in love with them. You put, you know, we as we grow up with our experiences and everything, we put up walls, and with everything, you know, oh, I like this food and I don't like this food, you know, I like going someplace and I don't like going someplace, I am going to do this and I'm not going to do that. Very strong walls somehow with so there's a preconceptions that we have, and somebody wrote my favorite sitar player. Thank you so much. That's so sweet. I'm sorry I can't read the names very clearly. They're very small. And hello from
Yeah.
Pakistan. Yes, sir. Salam. How are you? Thank you for joining in. Sorry. So what was I saying? I lost the chain of thought.
Yeah, you were saying that how you meet people and then the instant
Yeah,
connection you get.
it's a human connection. You know, it's a human connection. And if that connection happens, it doesn't matter what instrument they play, where they come from. It's just a natural. It's like you've known them for all your life, and the connection just happens.
Okay, okay. So how much time it took to bring it onto the stage?
Well, I gave my first concert when I was 9 years old.
No, but that was complete classical. This was the fusion work.
But I grew up, so there was, I grew up in the, most of my life I grew up in the West. And as a result, it was just, I mean, my food habits, my clothing habits, my language, my friends, exposure, everything was just what it was. And so it was not a plan that, oh, okay, now I'm going to do this or now I'm going to do that. It just happened naturally. And then now the world has become such a small place that these collaborations and these experiments and everything is a but natural thing. So again, music is a thing of the heart and the soul, and emotions driven by that. And to you have to dive
Mm-hmm.
into it without sort of really thinking so much, and you just have to follow through, and whatever comes, then just go along with that, kind of be fluid like a river, that way.
Okay. Okay, so Sareem Zuhair has written, big fan of yours, and Ustad Vilayat Khan and Kiran Anauk has written, music is emotional.
Oh, there you go. See, I was just saying that. See, there you go. That's a human connection, That's the
Right.
connection what I'm talking about. Kiran just wrote, music is emotional. That's exactly what I was saying. Music is emotional, comes from the heart.
Mhm.
And see, this is what's fascinating to me. That this is what you call the human connection. I may not know the person, they may not know me personally,
Mhm.
but there's a certain wavelength
Okay.
that we are operating on, and that's what the human connection is all about.
Right.
That's what music is
So
all
it's
about.
good. Okay. So you just told that you gave your first performance at the age of 9. Do you remember anything particular about that day?
No, I mean, yeah, but it wasn't like a particular day. I mean, it was in Lucknow. I didn't know I was going to do this. Abba asked me to join, get up on stage
Mhm.
and sing, and I sang.
Okay. So was that a solo?
Yeah, it was. It was. I mean, but
Okay.
again, I come from when you come from a musical lineage and you come from a musical
Uh-huh.
background, this is normal life. I
Mhm.
mean, it was, and the audience was the greatest of the greats musicians sitting over there, and to me, they were
Mhm.
not pandits and ustads. They were my kaka, chacha, taya, things like that. So
Right.
you get up and you just like, oh, take it.
Mhm. Okay, so Sareem Zuhair is writing, how can we use Gaiki Ang in fusion?
So it's not that you can use. It's so again, when you're doing fusion work, you have to break your fundamentals, right?
Right.
Gaikiang is a tool which is very important because it is the vocal style. So if you're fusing music and if you're fusing with a vocalist, obviously you have to have that in you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so so if you're a musician of the East, Indian musician or Pakistan, like same thing, yeah, from India, Pakistan, same thing. If you're one of us, and you're doing our music, so that's just a discipline, that's just a foundation that you have built your musicianship on. Now, when you're
Mm-hmm.
fusing with someone, you have to forget all of that and you have to see what the music is asking you. It's almost like doing a background score for a film. So, what is required at that time is what you need to give. अब उसमें अगर आप राग दरबारी लेके बैठ जाओगे तो obviously there is a you can't fuse Rag Darbari. I'm sorry. At least in my limited knowledge, you can't fuse it with Western orchestra or everything because the essence of that rag gets lost. But you can take those notes and you can compose something and you can collaborate with someone. So it's a very subtle mindset. But the most important thing when you're fusing music is being opening yourself up and listening to what the other person has to say. Even in conversations, when we talk, before another person finishes what they have to say, we're thinking of what we're going to respond.
Right.
And so if you're not listening to the other person, your response
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter. So when you're fusing music, the most important thing is listen, get inspired, and say something that's relevant to that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it becomes simple. It doesn't matter what background you come from.
Right, totally. So this question might be very weird to you, but it was very much in demand once again. How to deal with stage fear?
Oh,
Oh.
fear is an emotion which is, first of all, don't take music out of context of life and your
Mm-hmm.
personality. Okay.
Right.
If you are
Right.
scared of the dark, you are scared of the dark.
Mm-hmm.
Don't try and
Good.
not be scared. It's
Right.
fear is a perfectly fine and normal emotion, but what you do with it, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Face your fear.
Mm-hmm.
Be and yeah, okay, you are fearful on that. You are fearful on that. Okay, it's fine, you know. But you can you have to. For me, as again, like, if I talk about myself, I started not worrying about what anyone else had to say or think
Right.
about my music. I play for myself. Uh, well, you know, to a certain degree. I mean, take everything I'm saying in a reality context. I'm supposed to come on over here. If I woke up in the morning, didn't brush my teeth, didn't wear, I wore these things. I wore a jacket. I shaved. I prepared to come over here to appeal to the audience that I'm going to talk to. So it's so yes, you do. It's not like you just get up from bed and you do whatever you want. So you do think and everything, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to say things just to make you happy. I'm going to
Right.
say things what I believe in. If and if I don't know an answer to something, I'm going to say I don't know the answer to that. Like somebody asked me a very in-depth question about Gaikian, and in this format, I could not do it. So I said, "No, yaar, I'm sorry." You know. So
Mm-hmm.
so have a realistic expectation and of what you can give out there, and then you will
Mm-hmm.
sort of connect with that.
Okay. But I don't think it was a very big factor for you because it really seems performances were a regular affair for you back then.
Oh, two of my favorite people are on. Oh, so many of my favorite people are on. Monica is on. Melinda is on, and oh, awesome, Suchismita ji, a fabulous vocalist, a huge fan of hers. She's on. Uh, Gautam ji is on. Wow, this is nice. I'm getting to meet a whole bunch of my family that I haven't seen in a long time. Sorry, this is so awesome connecting with everyone like this.
Right. Right.
Sorry, what was your
Yes.
question?
Yeah. So I was saying that HQ wasn't really a big factor for you because you've clearly described that performances were a regular affair back then.
So beginning, I didn't know any better. So there was no stage fear.
Mm-hmm.
But as I started growing up, the
Mm-hmm.
stage fear became because I wasn't measuring up to my own standards.
Mm-hmm.
And if I do not measure up to my own standards, how am I going to measure up to anyone else's standards? So it is about being happy in your skin, being true to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
knowing what your personality is. If I wear a bright yellow jacket with sequins on it and I'm comfortable in it, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But if I'm not comfortable on it, then I should maybe avoid wearing that. You know, so it's like that. Stage. What you're going to do on stage
Mm-hmm.
is it should come from your heart
Mm-hmm.
and just let it flow.
Totally. Okay, so a lot of people are saying you, hello Hidayat bhai, so good to see you live on Insta.
Gautam ji is an awesome percussionist. We played together. Again, huge big fan of his. Gautam bhai, good to see you, man. Let's see, Melinda is my favorite person in Bombay. She is the
Okay.
best cook. She is the most loving human being that you can ever meet. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad to see her. I haven't spoken to her in a long time.
Okay. Okay. So my next question would be that what comes first to your mind when you hear the word tuning?
Tuning.
Yes.
Oh, lovely subject. A lovely subject because everything, see, it's all about sur. It's all
Mm-hmm.
about that. So when something, so technically speaking, as human beings, as like we hear chords. So whenever we hear a note or a voice, everything we're hearing it in a chord. So these are frequencies, right? Dogs hear more than that, or I don't know. So certain people get vibrations only, like certain animals. They don't have ears, but they feel the vibration. We get a mixture of all of that. Uh, we hear, and then there's a vibration that the note creates. It's used for healing. It's used for जैसे मंदिर की घंटी बजती है, या gong बजता है, शंख बजता है. All of these things, these are vibrations that are going out there. So जब बहुत perfectly tuned में कोई गाए, it'll be an amazing thing. या कोई instrument बजाए, you will see that you'll suddenly feel it in your body also. Your little hairs on your body will stand up. There's a vibration you feel. So tuning is a very, very important thing, and you need to tune. So Abba used to sit there and tune his instrument for hours, and हमको सिखाते थे कि वो बेटा कैसे correspond कर रहा है ये note, किस राग में मध्यम कितनी चढ़ी हुई होनी चाहिए. Again, this is very technical stuff that I'm saying, but मध्यम कितनी चढ़ी हुई होए, कितनी उतरी हुई होए, कि वो धैवत से कैसे बोले, या ऐसे नोट से उसको कॉरेस्पॉन्ड करवाओ जो मे बी नेचुरली नहीं करती है, तो उसको उतारो कितना, उसको चढ़ाओ कितना. And sitar is one of those instruments because it has these sympathetic strings and overtones and everything. It's such a wide area of dynamic sound it has, that जो ठीक से मिल जाता है, उसका सिर्फ जोड़ा चिकारी छोड़ो, just pick up the instrument and go, एक जोड़ा चिकारी छोड़ो, the environment just wows like a beautifully tuned tanpura. It just reverberates around you. It's that magical. It's a magic.
Okay, so how important do you believe is it to tune an instrument before doing riyaz or going for the performance?
Absolute at most importance. Absolute at most importance. Agar aap, you have to have a perfectly tuned instrument before you sit and practice. And very, very important lesson to all musicians out there is आप रियाज के बाद भी ना जब अपना इंस्ट्रूमेंट रखें तो उसको perfectly tune करके रखें, because that perfect tuning seeps into the instrument. It seeps into you. So there's the utmost importance of that. I mean, there's nothing more important to do than have a perfectly tuned and just sort of aspire to get there.
Yes, and मुझे तो लगता है that the one who doesn't tune their instrument in riyaz doesn't go for the performance as well.
Obviously नहीं ना. आप देखिएगा, lot of musicians constantly साज मिलाते रहते हैं. क्यों आप कर रहे हैं ये? अगर आपका साज जम गया है, yeah, sometimes these are natural acoustic instruments, where the light, all kinds of things make a difference to it, but those variables happen. But a perfectly tuned instrument, उसको जमाओ, उसको मिलाओ, उसके साथ in Zakir Bhai's words, अपने साज के साथ मोहब्बत करो. I was asking him this question that I got a chance to sit with him and have a candid conversation a little bit with him, and so I was asking him. I said, "ये miracles, musical miracles, कैसे होते हैं?" Because he had a concert and he did something that was just like God sent, And उसके बाद I was asking him, ये कैसे होता है? He said, "अरे यार, he was just this thing." I said, "No, seriously." Sir, अगर ये अरे यार हो जाता है, ये करता है, why doesn't it happen with me and everyone else? मेरे साथ तो कभी ऐसा हुआ नहीं है. Why does it happen with select few people? So he said कि अपने साज के साथ मोहब्बत करो, and that's all he said, and he left it. Got into different conversation. He didn't want to get into it because what he said was so profound that if you have the capacity to understand it, you will. If you don't, forget about it. So all this love is connecting with your instrument tuning and everything. When you understand your instrument that well, then you know how to bring out things that are sometimes just miracles to people like us. But they know what they're doing,
Totally. So we have another few questions here. T2333 is writing, so is there any way to make riyaz interesting?
Oh, absolutely. Riyaz has to be, Titu, very nice question. Riyaz has to be interesting. Riyaz is not
Mm-hmm.
just about, it's not like, there are two parts of Riyaz. One,
Okay.
imagine it like you're running and doing an exercise. That's to get your
Okay.
technique right. ठीक है? उस पे आप you do as X amount of hours depending on where
Mm-hmm.
you are and what you want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
But uske
Mm-hmm.
baad you have to do the intellectual, emotional, and you have to think about what you're practicing because you are your biggest teacher. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter who your ustad is, you are your biggest ustad in this world. And
Right.
you have to incorporate your life experiences, your mood, your everything into your riyaz. So if you're not thinking about it, if you're not interested in it, you're wasting your
Mm-hmm.
time.
Right. Right. Totally. Major point. Okay, so teacher is once again writing. So, how to deal with insecurities when we want to pursue career in music?
Self-belief, in a short answer. Stop relying. Today's world is becoming about instant gratifications or instant
Mm-hmm.
gratification,
Mm-hmm.
instant returns, and to what end? I mean, material world. डिप्रेस हो रहे हैं ऐसे जाके ये खरीद लेते हैं अच्छा
Mm-hmm.
ये कर लेते हैं अच्छा वो कर लेते हैं नहीं यार इंट्रोस्पेक्टिव हो don't look outside for happiness look within yourself and I feel like a psychologist right now but it is true I mean it is true it is you have to rely on yourself
Mm-hmm.
and believe in yourself yeah and there is no perfection we are all flawed human beings
Yeah.
uh, I am deeply flawed I make mistakes every day of my life I made a mistake today I made a mistake yesterday
Mm-hmm.
and the moment I have realization of it I need to try and correct it.
Rectify
If
it.
I can't correct it, if I make the same mistake again, again apologize, again
Right.
correct it, again do it.
Right.
It's okay. It's okay to make
Mm-hmm.
mistakes and keep correcting yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
fine. We're humans. We're gonna do that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so ये सब छोड़ दो and इनसिक्योरिटीज हटा दो अपने म्यूजिक से हटा दो गलती करी रियाज नहीं किया अपने आप को सॉरी बोलो कल बैठ जाओ
Mm-hmm.
किसी फ्रेंड को का दिल दुखाया कुछ गलत बोल दिया उसको सॉरी
Mm-hmm.
बोल दो फिर कर दिया फिर
Mm-hmm.
सॉरी बोलो कोशिश करो कम से
Mm-hmm.
कम ट्राई
Mm-hmm. Right, right. And then a lot of musicians still say, who are like Padma Shri, Padma Vibhushan, that they have just started learning music.
I mean, I told you Buddha Mukherjee's what he told me
Right.
कि अब उस स्टेज पे हम लाइक हम हमारी स्टेज पे we can't even aspire to get there and वो इंसान उस स्टेज
Right.
पे बैठ के आगे बोल रहा है musicians
Mm-hmm.
are students
Mm-hmm.
the greatest of ustads आपने मेरे नाम के आगे उस्ताद लिखा था and I had requested you please हटा दीजिए the reason
Mm-hmm.
being because I not because of this is not a false humility where
Right.
this is a trend. Either everyone wants to become an ustad and is enforcing it on other people, and or other times it's a false
Mm-hmm.
humility. "Nee, nee, nee, ye nee, but please do call me. You know that sort of a thing. The thing is that when you're surrounded, if you in your life, when you're surrounded with such geniuses, then
Mm-hmm.
the meaning of that word should be that much more important to you. And for
Yes.
me personally, music is going to be a lifelong journey, and I don't ever want to become an ustad. I always want to remain a student because with
Mm-hmm.
that, my music will evolve.
Right.
That's the only. That's so. It's an evolution.
Yes. And that's the way we can improve also.
Yeah, that's the only way. I mean, the day we are done, we're complete. We'll be dead.
Yes.
If we're alive,
Totally.
we're going to keep on
Mm-hmm.
evolving.
Right. Totally. Okay, so Milanla has written, OMG, you made my day. God bless you. So true about the vibrations of sound. Look forward to hear sounds from your sitar.
See, I told you she's the most beautiful, loving person. I mean, and oh my brother Inayat, he's my favorite awesome musician, tabla player is on, and we've done so many concerts together. Again, love the man. I'm so glad to see all my friends. I haven't done this Insta Live. I'm so glad. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad I could get you here.
Uh,
Okay, so tell me about how you design your Riyaz session these days.
Sorry.
How you design your Riyaz session these days.
How do I design my videos?
Hmm,
Uh,
right.
so, hmm. I do design it. I do design it. To say that it's completely abstract is not true. I do definitely do design it. So I try and so the days that so not every day is a good Riyaz day for me. Not every day is a good
Okay.
Riyaz day for me. I struggle with it. Um, so the days that I'm musically off, I try and I've disciplined myself to a point where I sit down and work on my technique for whatever short amount of time, and I want to keep that touch with my instrument.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I do that. So I work on my technique. I do my scales. I do my exercises, and to a certain degree, and I get up and I close it and I say I'm done.
Okay.
Um, the days that I'm engaged, I'm creatively engaged, everything, then that discipline of working on my technique and everything helps me sort of take my music to the next level. So those days I don't. So then I work on aesthetics. I work on emotions. I work on subject matter, and growth. And
Mm-hmm.
as much on sitar while I'm practicing, as much off time of thinking,
Mm-hmm.
imagining, just living in that space.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I would sort of design a riyaz. And riyaz is about Indian classical music is about, and music is about creativity. So in your riyaz, you have to figure out. So when we were trained, we were never trained that here is ABC. Now just ratta maro ABC for the whole day. Simple thing is ABC है तो CBA भी हो सकता है. ACB भी हो सकता है, AAA भी हो सकता है, ABBC भी हो सकता है, CCB भी हो सकता है, whatever. So we were encouraged to कि ये तुमको material दिया है, now run with it and tell me what you can do with it. And then above it,
Looking at all
discuss.
possibilities.
Sorry?
Looking at all the possibilities.
Yeah, and then there is an aesthetic board to
Mm-hmm.
that you would discuss with us that, oh,
Mm-hmm.
this is why this is very good, or this is why this is not so good in this particular matter, but there's nothing wrong. There's no
Right.
wrongs. So it's you have to explore.
Right. Totally. Okay, so Lavanya Govind has written, perfection is a moving target. Are you ever satisfied with any performance?
Am I ever satisfied with any performance? I hope
Yes.
not. I seriously hope not, because if I was, then it would be the end of that. I mean, I am I am product in development, and I'm going to be constantly developing. And
Mm-hmm.
the only thing that I want is should be a positive evolution to my music, to my being, to everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So, how do you believe the skill of active listening is important for any musician?
I'm sorry, I had another engagement at 11:30. So we were having such a
Okay.
lovely conversation. So I'm just going to tell them to give me another 10 minutes before I get there.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Okay.
give me a sec.
Okay. Okay, people, he will be back here just in a minute.
Sorry, G.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I was telling, how much do you believe is the skill of active listening important for your musician?
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Very much so. You have to. obviously you have to listen to music because see, nothing in this world comes out of nowhere,
Right.
right? So when one says that I invented this, or I made this
Mm-hmm.
rag, or I made the light bulb, or I
Mm-hmm.
made the automobile, there is
Mm-hmm.
it's not just that they made it. It's an evolution that happens,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So that
Right.
that evolution happens only when you open yourself up to listen to other things, to see other things,
Mm-hmm.
and we're just carrying forward the work that has already been done. we,
Right.
and if you don't
Right.
know what has been done, if you don't know what's outside, then what the heck is.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know what's going on outside, if you don't know, then you don't know. You have to know your
Right.
history. You
Mm-hmm.
have to be aware of your surroundings, and
Mm-hmm.
that helps you with your journey forward, and that's how you take it forward.
Right. Okay. Okay, so let's take a question from here and then we'll wrap the session. When do you find yourself ready to perform something that you've been working on?
So strangely for me, that I've tried to plan my performances, and I've worked on something very hard for a very long time, and gone up on
Mm-hmm.
stage and performed something totally different. Uh,
Okay.
because like when we were doing the session, I told you that we're gonna go with the flow and we're gonna run with it as it goes, because
Mm-hmm.
I prepared for everything and then let
Okay.
the moment sort of guide me and take me through. I don't like to be contrived. So the same way with
Mm-hmm.
music, I don't like to be contrived. I've tried it a few times that I've like some concert that was very, very important to me, and I wanted to go
Mm-hmm.
and execute it in a certain way. I wanted to show this
Mm-hmm.
thing that, oh, I'm capable of doing this and blah, 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 you know. And I went up on stage and I did that. And at the end of the day, I wasn't happy with it, and I was not feeling connected with it. So at some point, I've let go of that. So I prepare myself. I think everything from my day to day is going to make a lot of difference based on our conversation that we had,
Right.
based on the
Right.
coffee we had. So performance makes all that difference. How was the sound? How was the theater? Who gave you chai? Where you had to
Mm-hmm.
go get? You had chai. You had soda. You had this. You had that. You know, let all of those. We in our lives, when we come back home from work, some days we're feeling elated and we're like, yes, we had a good day, and some days we're feeling completely messed up. And that's how
Right.
we are. So why music should be any different? If I'm feeling
Right.
energized, my concert on stage will be full of energy. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
feeling tired, my concert should be that. It
Mm-hmm.
should reflect my emotion. Somebody said music is emotional, and that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Again, repeating their words.
Okay. Okay. So now, before we end this session, could you tell us about some of your favorite takeaways from Ustadji and the most valuable gift which you feel he has given you till date?
I think I think he has taught me to listen.
Right.
Um, by far the most
Okay.
important thing. The other thing he has taught me, the world doesn't revolve around me. Uh,
Yes.
world is much bigger than I am. I'm very small
Mhm.
in this world.
Right.
And third thing is, I think it's got to do with the first exposure. So expose yourself, listen,
Mhm.
expose, and there's so many lessons. I mean, I'm just telling you what comes to my mind right now. I mean, this is that doesn't define my life's lessons or everything, but this just comes to my mind right now, and that's what I'm saying.
Mhm. Okay, then. Any last message for the viewers here right now?
Yes, guys, this is very difficult, trying times. Please stay safe, take care of yourselves, take care of your family,
Mhm.
be well.
Mhm.
Pray for
Mhm.
me, pray for yourself, pray for everyone. And we're in this, all of us are in this together.
Mhm.
I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for having me on. And I'm so glad I was able to connect with so many of my friends, and it was lovely chatting with you.
Thank you so much for being here. It was a total pleasure.
Pleasure was all mine.
Thank you so much. Take
Pleasure.
care.
Thank you. Thanks. Bye.
Uh, Bye. Okay then. So thank you to everyone who joined this session, left their questions, comments. It meant a lot. Please stay tuned for the next Sadhana episodes. Thank you. Good night.